A South Bay nonprofit that works to prevent homelessness got a huge financial boost today that will allow the organization to expand its services to cities across the country. San Jose-based Destination Home received $77 million in new funding through TED's Audacious project. This initiative has committed a total of just over $1 billion to more than a dozen nonprofits that are taking on major societal challenges. The winning nonprofits were announced earlier today after a year-long selection process. And joining us now to talk about this funding is Ray Bramson, the Chief Operating Officer of Destination Home. Ray, thank you for the time this afternoon, and congratulations to you and your colleagues at Destination Home. I know this is really huge. This is going to allow you to launch what you're calling the Right at Home initiative. How is this infusion of additional funding going to help you expand this approach that you've been using for some time in the South Bay?
Thanks, Alex. It's good to be with you today. I think several years ago, we launched an initiative right here in the Silicon Valley that was focused on homelessness prevention, keeping people in their house before they end up on the streets. What we saw with the results partnering with the University of Notre Dame's Lab for Economic Opportunity is that over time, the people we were helping, and we've helped nearly 44,000 people in the Silicon Valley stayed housed. 90% of those folks stayed housed. The Right at Home initiative is seeking to take those efforts and expand them across the country in 10 different communities, because we want to make a case that homelessness prevention, if it can work here, we think it can work anywhere, and we think it's the way that we're going to start to address this large national crisis we're facing.
To talk more about the approach that you have taken to try to keep people and families from losing their homes in the first place here, how do you identify the people or the families that are in need of additional financial support and are at greatest risk of becoming unhoused?
The sad reality is, Alex, that so many families in America, millions, are just one paycheck, lost paycheck, one financial catastrophe, one broken down car away from ending up on the streets. So we know a lot of people are vulnerable in our communities. What we found, however, is that targeted homelessness prevention, and that, think of it as right-sized financial support to meet the emergency that people are facing, can be a tool that can actually help people avoid that crisis altogether. And what's remarkable is not only do we know that it's effective from the randomized control trial we've already tried, but we also see that it saves costs. For every dollar invested in homelessness prevention, there's nearly $2.50 of community savings. So we see by giving people this helping hand, and usually it's just a few $1,000s to solve their crisis, folks are able to stay stable in the long term and not end up on the streets.
So what does this expansion look like? Can you talk more about some of the communities where you will be taking this approach to preventing homelessness, and how will you be working with local organizations in those particular cities?
Yeah, so we're going all across the country, 10 different jurisdictions, everywhere from Atlanta, Georgia, to Miami, to all the way up to Nome, Alaska. We're trying to prove that in urban and rural settings, in tribal communities, regardless of the political orientation or the socioeconomic status of the surrounding area, that prevention can work. And Destination Home isn't going to set up shop in these communities. We're looking for strong partners in different areas across the country that can replicate the work that we're doing when we give them the funding and the flexibility to carry this work forward. So we're excited. We're in the launch phase right now, thanks to incredible support from a community of donors that included the Audacious Project, Cisco, Sobrado Philanthropies, to name just a few. We're able to launch this program right now in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and can you talk about what this selection process was like to receive this funding from the Audacious Project, which is housed at TED's headquarters here? How did you have to make your pitch to these donors to convince them about the importance and the effectiveness of the work that you are doing?
There's a rigorous months and months long process that involved proposal, presentations, discussions. But I think what was most inspiring about it was a community of donors that were most interested in how could they make the biggest impact in the world. And they came to the table wanting to learn and see how we had results that were effective and how those results could be multiplied by deeper investment. So it wasn't just them investing money in us. It was an intellectual exchange of ideas of how we could make a project that seemed good even better.
Yeah, and expanding it now to 10 different communities across the country. Where do you see the future of your efforts going here? I mean, would you like to replicate this in however many more cities across the country?
Unfortunately, there's nearly 800,000 people that are on our streets in the United States right now. We know we need to get those folks housed and supported and stable. But the only way we're going to really end this national crisis is by preventing homelessness before it starts. So what we'd like to see is an investment in a national policy that would get funding for homelessness prevention in every community across the country. We're going to have the data and research through Right at Home to show that it can work anywhere. And we're hoping that we can make this a lasting impact that's really going to change the trajectory of so many Americans.
All right, well, best of luck to you and your colleagues here on expanding this program that started in the South Bay here and will be going nationwide here soon. Ray Bramson, the Chief Operating Officer of Destination Home. Thanks for the time this afternoon. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Alex.